Friends, we are going to begin the funeral service for Mr. Michael M. Weinger. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you kindly to place it in the silent mode at this time or turn it completely off. I'd also like to welcome everyone here in attendance as well as via live stream today on behalf of the family. Services will be conducted by Rabbi Jason Fenster of Congregation B'nai Jehoshua Beth Elohim in Deerfield. He is going to start with the ancient tradition of cutting of the kriya. So if we could have the family please rise.
Some of you are wearing this word. Just a moment. We'll tell you. That's kriya. It's ancient ceremony. It's an outward manifestation of that which is happening inside. We hear the tearing, we feel the tearing in our hearts. And it's a sign, it's a symbol that we'll wear for the week. A reminder to the rest of the world to offer actual moment of patience or kindness. We tear it. We say the words Baruch Dayan Adonai, which means blessed is the true judge. Not to say that there's some. This is one to ground ourselves in something bigger than ourselves. Over and over. We say Baruch Dayan. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra yishmor et nefshecha. Adonai yishmor tzidcha uvawecha me'atav ad olam. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul. God will guard your going out and your coming in, now and forever. Friends, we are gathered here to do something that's hard and to do something that's sacred, something that matters. That when there are no words to say to fix it, nothing we can do to make sadness disappear, that we show up, whether we show up in the room or show up online, that we show up with full hearts to offer consolation and comfort. That through our presence and through our ability to bear witness, to hear the stories of a man who meant so much to this family, so much to all of you, to hear the stories, that tell the stories, that we do the sacred work of memory, of consolation. To be present is a mitzvah, a sacred obligation. And together, we'll begin that process of memory, and of turning memory into blessing. I invite up Rabbi Reni Dickman, Michael's niece, to share a poem and a prayer.
the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember him. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember him. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the sun, we remember him. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember him. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember him. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember him. So long as we live, he too shall live, for he is now a part of us as we remember him.
In our tradition, in times of deep emotion, we turn to the Psalms. We turn to biblical poetry. Not to say that anyone has ever felt exactly how you're feeling today, but to try to give voice to the depth of the human experience, to the reality of the emotions that we have. And often we turn to the 23rd Psalm. It's words we're familiar with. It speaks about the valley of deepest, darkest shadows. And maybe that's where you sit right now, in a valley of darkness. That's okay. Now's the time to sit there. And the psalm continues. It reminds us that there are straight paths in front of us, not a black diamond path down the road. Reminds us that there is a table in front of us with cup overflowing, with joy and with blessing and memory and love. And the end of the psalm, it tells us that goodness and mercy are following us. The Hebrew literally means chasing us all the days of our lives. That while right now you might sit deep in the valley, behind you, goodness and mercy are chasing after you, begging you to notice the love and the goodness and the blessing, the legacy, the memory that he left behind. And that goodness, that mercy that chases you, it urges you towards light, towards life, and towards memory. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, bino deshe yar bitzeni, amei menuchot yenahaleini, nafshi yeshovev, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni, v'maglei tzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech begeitz al mavet, lo irara ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha, shivtecha umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, neged sorerai, dishanta vashemen roshi, kosi revaya, dishanta vashemen roshi, kosi revaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, ach tov v'chesed ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני, ושבתי בבית אדוני, לאורך ימים. We'll read together. 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Surely goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life, as you dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage, from birth to death, to life everlasting. In his sorrow, Job cried out, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. God has given and God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. First we say Adonai natan. God gave a tremendous gift in Michael, loved by so many, who built up relationships that sustained throughout a lifetime, memories of joy and connection and love, gave a gift of family, and Adonai lakach, and God has taken. And there aren't words to describe what that is like. And nonetheless, we say, Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. May God's name be blessed. As I just shared with you, not to say that there is some meaning or purpose in the loss of someone that we love, but rather to ground ourselves in something deeper, something bigger than ourselves, even as we mourn. Because our job in this moment is to share stories. As we spoke about last week, the Hebrew word for memory, zecher, doesn't just mean remember, it means to mention. That our sacred responsibility is to share stories again and again and again. The little ones that you've told 1,000 times, and the big ones, the ones that change your life. We share the stories, so that memory doesn't live in our hearts or in our minds, but it lives on our lips. And when we do that, when we share the stories of the people we love, we can say, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, that the memory and the mention of the righteous is a blessing. And so today we begin. We'll start sharing some of those stories. And then in the days, weeks, and months and years that follow, you'll continue. You'll share with the family the stories that you remember, or listen as they tell you the memories that they hold together. We'll start by inviting Laura and Karen up to share some words.
As we stand here today, we see family and friends that have come from great distances to celebrate the life of our dad. We are so deeply touched and quite frankly impressed as to how many people's lives he touched. We can only speak for ourselves, so when we think of how he touched our lives, the first words that come to our minds are provider, protector, and a huge source of inspiration. We could stand here all day and list the ways we admired our dad, but we might miss Shiva, and we all know how much our dad liked a good corned beef sandwich and chopped liver. He was loving, funny, very smart, the smartest person we knew. We never had a chance against him at Trivial Pursuit or any game of trivia. He taught us how to win gracefully and not to be a sore loser. He was kind and very generous. We were never spoiled, but we never lacked for anything.
He was a super cool, fun dad. Besides our mom, his next love in life was skiing. He started teaching us to ski around the age of 3. He would guide us down the bunny hill between his legs, making sure we were always safe. He loved the racetrack and even was part owner of a horse. That horse, Trader Point, came in first one time. Our father became a licensed pilot, one of many midlife crises, and owned planes with 3 of his closest friends. What other dad would fly his daughters to a little airport in Janesville, Wisconsin for Sunday breakfast and to get what he claimed was the best corned beef hash? Well, that was our dad. Our dad also rode a motorcycle, and our mom would only allow him to ride us to our Aunt Cathy's house, which was only less than about a quarter mile away. Our dad also had a passion for photography and even had a darkroom in our basement. He collected coins and passed along the love of coins to all of his grandchildren by giving them proof sets since they were young.
Our dad loved sports. He was an avid Bulls, Bears, and White Sox fan. We were so lucky that our parents were Bulls season ticket holders for over 50 years, and how lucky we were to attend so many games in the Chicago Stadium and later at the United Center. 3rd row center seats. We didn't realize as kids how fortunate we were to be that close to all the action. Growing up as a family, we took so many vacations, of course, all ski trips. We skied in the Midwest during winter breaks. Every spring, we were fortunate to ski at some of the most amazing ski resorts out west. We have such fond memories of these trips with our dear family friends. Reflecting back, we realized that ski school was not only to teach us to ski, but more importantly, it gave the parents time to themselves without all us kids. We loved après-ski, when all the families would get together, soaking in the jacuzzi and getting their drink on. We may or may not have participated. Also, our dad took annual ski trips with the guys, and one time they even went heli skiing to be dropped off in fresh, untouched powder. How cool is that? We took one warm weather trip on a cruise to Mexico, and we were lucky enough to go to London and Paris when we were both in high school. As we expanded our families, we were so lucky to take vacations with our mom and dad, our husbands and children, and of course, our yearly trips to visit them in Scottsdale.
Our parents had an amazing life together. He loved our mom so deeply and was committed to making her happy every day of their almost 58 years together. He was a wonderful father-in-law to both of our Michaels, who genuinely considered him not as a father-in-law, but as their dad. He was the best papa to all 4 of his grandchildren, and he loved them so much. As latchkey kids, we had to call him at his office every day after school to let him know we were home, because our mom was a teacher and she was still at school. Every day when he would come home from work, he would pour himself a drink, turn on the news, and say to us, "Did you do your homework?" He even asked us on the weekends to make sure we had it done.
Our dad loved to thumb wrestle with us, taught us how to play wiffle ball. He hated olives and always said if olives were the last food on earth, he would starve. He instilled in us the love of being a sports fan. Since we both went to the University of Kansas, he had the best college basketball team to root for, Rock Chalk Jayhawk,
KU.
and taught us how to embrace being a loyal and diehard fan. Every night before we went to sleep, he would say, "Good night, see you in the morning." And there would always be a pause for us to reply,
Not too early.
"Dad, we promise you Mom will always be taken care of. We miss you dearly and are grateful for the life you gave us and the time we had with you on this earth. We
love you."
Next, we'll hear from Michael's grandchildren, Jack, Samantha, Mason, and Ainslee.
Yeah, we'll rotate around. For those of you that don't know us, we are the grandkids. I'm Jack, Samantha, Mason, and Ainslee. To us, Papa was his name. Our Papa was there for many of our firsts in our lives, from steps to teeth and first words to that first solo ride on a bike. We would like to share a few stories that help illustrate what kind of a grandfather he was to us. We remember as kids being so excited for the summer nights we would get to sleep over at Mimi and Papa's house, going out for a sushi dinner, and knowing that a long bike ride with Papa would await us in the morning. Being the encouraging grandpa that he was, he always pushed us to bike farther than we thought we could, sometimes reaching 25 or 30 miles. While as kids, we only saw these as fun, carefree bike rides with Papa, we today can see how he instilled persistence and resilience within us. Our Papa was the hardest worker ever. When he wasn't at the office, he was calling the office. And when he wasn't calling the office, he was making sure to spend time with his friends and family. Papa loved going to Arlington Racetrack on senior days with his friends and brought me along one time when I was around 10 years old. I studied the book with all the horses and racing stats and hoped to be able to decipher between the combination of jockey, horse trainer, race type, and weather condition how the race would play out. In race 1, I picked him a winning horse. Since I was significantly too young to place a bet, I was 10 years old at the time, he gave me a $2 bill as a commission and signed it, which I have right here, dated July 17th, 2008, signed Papa. He took me back there many times, hoping that I could help him and maybe bring him good luck. Even when I didn't bring him good luck, which I recall wasn't too frequent, after my first time there, he was always happy to spend time with me, have a great lunch, and talk strategy and nonsense between post times. Papa taught us the importance of balancing work time with play time. He also taught us the importance of spending quality time with your family and closest friends.
Everyone knows that Papa loved the Chicago Bulls. I will always remember my first Bulls game with Papa on my 7th birthday. He went out of his way to make my day so special, even having my name and a happy birthday message put up on the Jumbotron for me. I will always remember that day. Every year thereafter, Mimi and Papa made sure to share their Bulls tickets with each of our families. I remember our parents calling dibs on game dates to ensure us grandkids could experience a Bulls game each and every year. Some of our fondest memories are bundling up in the winter to go to the Bulls games with the hopes of winning a t-shirt from the t-shirt cannons or bringing home a winner. As kids, we saw these Bulls games as a fun night that we could always look forward to each year. Today, we can see how Papa has instilled the importance of tradition and generosity in us by always reserving 8 tickets for our families each year.
Aside from his passion for bike riding and his love for the Chicago Bulls, our Papa had the best sense of humor. When we were kids, he had us convinced he could hypnotize us to sleep. Well, we were convinced until he would snap his fingers to make us sleep, and instead we burst out laughing. And we'll always laugh remembering all the times we turned Papa's hair into a mohawk by spiking it up on top of his head. We always begged him to let us turn him into punk rock Papa while he tried to resist at first. He always gave in, knowing how much it made us kids laugh. At the time, we merely saw these as acts as playful and silly, but today we can see how Papa has taught us not to take life too seriously, but rather to let loose, embrace our sense of humor, and laugh often.
Each winter, Mimi and Papa fled the cold and snow to their home in Arizona. We all handled the separation differently, with Ainslee crying each time she had to say goodbye, to myself refusing to speak with them on the phone while they were away out of anger for them having left us. Jack and Samantha, on the other hand, had dealt with the separation long enough for them to accept their fate. While saying our goodbyes was always tough, we were so lucky to spend our spring break vacation each year in Arizona as a family of 10. So we look forward to these vacations each year and felt so grateful to have spent such quality time with Papa in one of his favorite places. As children, visiting Arizona was a fun spring break getaway, but today we recognize that the quality of family time spent together can be more important than the quality, or quantity, whoops.
As you can see, our Papa was truly the best grandpa any of us could have asked for. And for Samantha and I, he was our only grandfather we got the chance to know. He took the time
to make each grandchild feel so special and loved for all 18 to 23 years of our lives. We each have a wealth of memories with Papa that we will cherish for the rest of our lives. And with these memories came such valuable traits and lessons that we will carry out in Papa's legacy. Papa, we promise to always work hard and play hard, to be resilient, to laugh often, and to always put our family first. We will strive to be generous, carry out family traditions, and to always make each other feel loved and happy. We love you so much, Papa, from the bottom of our hearts to the very top of a black diamond mountain.
So the other day I decided that since I spent a lot of time with Papa in this past year, that I should write my own little thing. So I'm Mason. He was my grandpa, of course, as you know, and I'm the youngest grandson. I'm 18, and I have some real massive anxiety, and this is not fun. But I realized that if I didn't do this, I would regret it. So let's see, where is that? So it really sucks that he's not here to see us make this speech, but we know he's watching and he's proud. So I'm going to share some stories from when they came back from Arizona during the pandemic, and over these past few months, since we got vaccinated, we were allowed to see them without masks on, which was great. So we were getting into the chicken sandwich wars. If any of you know what that is, it's like this big thing. And we started with the Burger King chicken sandwich, and he liked that one. It wasn't his favorite that he had. We only got through 2, unfortunately. But the second one he liked more. We would then go into the den and watch whatever sport was on. Unfortunately, it was golf. But it was a White Sox game. That was okay, even though I'm a Cubs fan. So the final chicken sandwich he tried was the Chick-fil-A one, and he and Mimi both very much enjoyed that one. And last time I saw Papa was July 15th, which was a Thursday. I went there to give Mimi and Papa some Parmesan cheese because it was out when the last time she went to Trader Joe's. And spent some quality time with him, even though I didn't know it was going to be the last time. We spent most of the time in the kitchen, pretty much talking about anything, but mostly sports because we had that in common. And then Uncle Michael came and checked his defibrillator, and he was still an AFib. So he said that he should go to the hospital. We got him his shirt he wanted, and when we went to the bedroom, I made sure I was pushing him in the wheelchair, and I went as fast as I could, but keeping it safe. We helped him change and then got him into the car. I had to help carry him down the steps in the wheelchair, and that was heavy. My mom hugged him, then I hugged him, told him I loved him, and said, I've never hugged anyone in a car before.
I'm glad the last thing I said to him made him laugh. These last few months have been great spending time with Papa. I've lost a grandpa before, but I've never lost a friend. And it hurts even more when that person was a both to you, especially when you thought of them as a best friend. I speak for everyone here. We love and miss you, and one day we will be reunited. Thank you.
Michael was born November 15th, 1937. He grew up in Oak Park and graduated from high school. We'll ask stories about any other misgivings that happened before then, after the funeral. We can talk about that. As we spoke on Friday, I was thinking about the words of the great sage Hillel. Hillel said, If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? And I felt like that met Michael for who he was. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? He knew that he had to go out on his own, and he worked hard. Started his own business. As you said, always working, knowing that he had to provide, not just for himself, but for all of you. And he knew that when it was time for work to be done, work was done. And he was home for booze and news and then a snooze at 5. And he was a person who built up an incredible community, someone that people wanted to be around because he was generous and funny, brought joy and connection wherever he went, and he was tremendously active. As you said again and again, lived such a full life, whether it was skiing or basketball or racquetball or biking or horses or the motorcycle or opera or theater or music or the Bulls, and I heard a rumor that he even played for the Bulls at one point. Flying his plane or just knowing everything. His 3 o'clock dates to watch Jeopardy at the office, finishing all the crossword puzzles. And as Karen told me today, in the Sunday, the Times, the Tribune, that's even better, good. The Sunday Tribune crossword puzzle, the first clue was the word metal or a type of metal?
It was metal made in a mill.
Metal made in a mill. I don't know what that is. I'm sure that he would have known. And the perfect crossword clue for today. He was a person who made fast friends, and he kept them. Friends from childhood that lasted throughout his life. People just liked him. And he was particular about who he chose to spend time with. But once you made it into that inner circle, once you were in, you were in. But of all those relationships, the one that mattered most was Harriet. They met on a bus to a ski trip in Michigan on February 2nd, 1963, and we know that because it was, which friend was it? Marty, thank you. Friend Marty's birthday. Marty was a little disappointed that Michael wasn't with him on the day, but he had other business to attend to. They met January 2nd and were engaged April 11th. A very long courtship, at least for a metal man, that once you know, you know. He said, I'm in the metal business and we make deals quickly. If not now, when? He proposed before they were about to see a show, and Harriet said, shh, I want to hear the overture. The people behind insisted that she give an answer. She said yes. But he still hadn't asked permission from her parents. So they drove back to the house, and his parents were asleep, but thankfully Susie was awake, and Susie gave permission. The best decision she ever made. And Harriet, you loved him. 58 years, an incredible life together. You loved him because he was kind, because he was sensitive, and most of all, because he cared about family. He was the glue that bound you together, a patriarch. And not in the way that he had to assert power over the family, but he was the one you wanted to be around. He was the one whose feet you wanted to sit at, to hear stories and to play and to laugh. Because the family was the thing that mattered most of all. Whether it was your nightly family dinners or the way that he would show up for all of the big moments. He would always encourage you, push you, sometimes to the limit, sometimes a little bit outside your comfort zone. But he wanted you to try new things, wanted you to have that grit that was so core to who he was, so core to how he found success. Wanted you to find the things that brought you joy, and he wanted to celebrate those things with you. And even for the multitude of Michaels who joined the family, he was like a dad to you. Not an in-law, but a parent who loved you. You made it into the inner circle. And once you were in, you were in. And once the grandkids came along, each one having their own individual relationship with him. He knew you. He loved you. He celebrated you. Wanted each of you to feel known and special. Individual time with him, with your grandmother, with your Mimi. Vowels are hard. Mimi, with Papa and Mimi. You would measure your height on the wall every Rosh Hashanah. Still on the wall in the basement. You wanted to be like him. You wanted to make him laugh. If I'm only for myself, who will be for me? If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? He was a person who lived life to the fullest, who knew the work that he had to do, and knew that that work was to build and sustain this family, to bring joy and laughter, to work hard, and to live life to the fullest, never waiting for a moment for joy, connection, and celebration together. May his memory always be for a blessing. Invite you to rise for the memorial prayer. Let's get that here. El male rachamim, shochen במרומים. המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קרושים וטורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת מאיר מנדל שהלך לעולמו. בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Michael M. Weinger, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may his repose be peace. To which we say, Amen. Please be seated. We have just one last thing to do together. In a moment, we'll rise again, and we'll say words of Kaddish Yatom, of the mourner's Kaddish. They're words that require a minyan, that require a quorum, that require a community to gather together. You can't say Kaddish on your own. You can't remember on your own. You must be surrounded by family and by friends. You must have a community and a family to share memories with, a community to hold you up while you stand to say sacred words. And these words, when we say them slowly and intentionally, they kind of roll and rock a little bit. It's as if the words know that we need an embrace, and the words themselves are there to soothe us. And they remind us of the greatness and the sanctity and the blessing that surrounds us in each moment. And that our job, as we soothe ourselves in a hard moment, is to be surrounded by love and to share, to speak memory into being so that memory can become a blessing. I'll ask you again to please rise in the back of your booklet. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah muvarach la'alam ul almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'it hadar, v'it ale, v'it halal, shemei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zecher tzadik livracha. May the memory and the mention of the righteous always be for blessing. To which we'll say, Amen. Please be seated.
This does conclude the service here in our chapel. The interment was private. The family will be receiving condolences immediately following this service right now until 8:30 p.m. at Karen and Michael Cutler's residence, 2900 Scottish Pine Court in Buffalo Grove. Again, that's starting now until 8:30, and then tomorrow, Monday, from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. And we respectfully request that only fully vaccinated people attend the Shiva. The Shiva information is on the folders as well as on our website for anybody to live stream. It's up on our website as well. On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank everyone live stream and who attended today. If we could please rise in silent prayers, the family is escorted from the chapel. We'll get the doors, you can exit to your left.
Remember set running? I don't know if you met Ron. No, you don't know. Look away. You gotta take your mask off in order to Marty, how's Marty?